everyone. Welcome to the Love to Live Healthy show. I'm Josephine Fitzpatrick, author of Cheat Day Rules, available on Amazon. I'm a weight loss nutrition specialist for over 15 years, and I work with thousands of clients all over the world. I own Innovation Healthy Market at 8025 Jericho Turnpike, Woodbury, New York, where for the last 12 years we sell hundreds of prepared meals and snacks. We are open to the public 7 days a week. You do not have to be a client to shop in our store. We have customers from all over Long Island visit our store every day, and we ship tri-state. We also offer free Long Island delivery every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and we hand deliver to New York City every Tuesday. We are also on Uber Eats 7 days a week. If you're looking to lose weight or just eat healthy, come and visit our store. Everything is made fresh daily, and we carry everything from high protein, low carb, gluten-free, sugar-free, plant-based, vegan, keto, and our famous Detox. Someone is always available to help you at the store. They will hold your hand to help you get what you need, so please don't hesitate to ask them when you walk in. For more information on our store, deliveries, shopping, and weight loss, visit our website, innovationhealthymarket.com, or check out our Instagram at Innovation Weight Loss. Today I'm here with Jake Fitzpatrick. Good morning, Jake.
Good morning.
And today's episode is fasting. Is it hype, or does it really help with weight loss? What is your opinion? You know mine.
Yeah, no, this is definitely a topic that you're going to have to kind of lead with, because I honestly have never really been like a fasting person, and I've never actually done a fast before.
Okay,
like,
well,
just
that's
because
fair
I've
enough.
like always had like my way of working, like that I know like what works for me. I know like, you know what, I mean, I haven't really tried fasting, but I mean, just from talking to you so much and like seeing how everybody at the store does, like I've seen like how it actually works. But I think that like for my goal, I don't really do it, I guess. I just kind of like lumped it into that category of like it's not going to work for what I want.
Right,
you know?
right.
Because my goal isn't really to...
And you don't really need to change what you're doing because everything's working for you.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess I just never really had a reason to fast. I mean, even, you know, just...
Right.
Yeah, so...
And if you don't have a reason,
Yeah.
why do it?
I mean, yeah, no, I mean,
It's
I
like,
just never really
why
had a reason.
change what's not broken?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Well, I will tell you from
Unless
my
you can
experience.
prove otherwise why I should, but...
Yeah. Well, I don't think you should. Honestly, I don't think it would. I mean, maybe if you said like, I want to lose, 5 pounds around my stomach, but you don't need to do that. But I'm just saying, like, if you did, sometimes you say like, oh, I got to lose 5 pounds.
Yeah.
That's where I got
I
it
mean,
from.
that's why I guess I just never really like entertained the idea, because I just didn't want to lose muscle. But I guess like that's like the whole part of the myth or stigma or whatever. Like I feel like I'm just gonna lose like not fat but like weight overall.
Right.
And I don't want my weight to go down. I kind of want
You
know,
like
I was
your
always
higher
afraid
weight.
of like losing muscle and fat. So I just never did it.
Right.
You know?
Well, I live by it.
Yeah.
And I do it because I just love the way it makes me feel. First of all, I don't have to think about food all day. I go on a 5-hour fast. So basically I eat from just in the evening, but a lot of people will do a 10-hour fast or an 8-hour fast. You know, it is backed by a lot of scientific research, and it does work. Basically, what happens is if you take the same hours every day, and say you just do it Monday through Friday, and you do just even say, a 5-hour or 7-hour fast, you eat in those hours the same day the same time every day. So you'll do, what happens is you're shrinking your time down. So immediately you don't have to eat as much food as you would all day. So it's great for weight loss. So say you do 2 meals and a snack in a 6-hour period. Okay. That rest of the time you are basically, your body's burning fat because it's not eating. So it's already processed what you ate and it's burning fat the whole time until you're eating again. Right?
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
Why are you laughing at me?
I don't know.
So
No, because I was gonna say I guess I'm fasting when I don't even know it, because like while I'm at the store all day,
You don't eat
I
all
don't
day.
eat all day.
Exactly.
So I just
That's
was
true.
listening to you talking, I was like, maybe I do fast every day.
you
I was
don't
like,
even
that
realize
sounds
it.
stupid now, but
Sometimes it's better when you're not planned
well,
it.
I guess if I like concretely said to myself like, all right, I'm gonna fast this week, then it would be on my mind, so I would have
Right.
a harder time with it. But like I just realized like while you were talking, I was like, oh, I just don't eat from like 9 in the morning until like 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Sometimes it's even later.
Sometimes it's even later.
Yeah.
And then That's my problem though, is then because then like I'm like, oh, I missed out on like 3 meals, so then I have 3 meals worth of food.
Right. Yeah.
But
and you actually don't do that as much anymore.
I don't. Yeah,
because
I
you
know.
got sick.
I think. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess my kind of appetite just shrunk on its own.
Well, your appetite shrinks, your stomach shrinks, you know, and that's another part of the fast, which works so good, you know.
It's interesting. Like when I was listening to you talk about it, I was like, wow, I actually do that. I don't even know it, but I guess that's the advantage.
It's funny because I keep telling you, you've never looked better, and it's probably why.
Well, I'm on my feet all day too, so
Yeah,
like
true.
I'm combination with that.
It does help, and that's the thing too. I think it's easier for people when you are busy. But even when you're doing the detox, you can fast. Like I have clients that I tell them don't start the drink until like 12 or 1. If you wake up in the morning, like think about the length of day.
Yeah.
If you wake up in the morning and you immediately start eating or drinking, you're going to be hungry the rest of the day.
Yeah.
You trigger it, you know. But if you push it off and you don't start until 12, 1, everything is later. So then you'd have less time to fit in the food, which is actually great because it helps you, you know, reach your goals.
Yeah. It's kind of funny when you think about it like that because, like, you got to almost say, like, you know, and this is, like, you got to almost say, like, think of how silly you sound. Like, the first thought on your mind when you wake up should not be, I want to eat right now.
I'm starving.
Like,
how could you be starving?
It's almost like, you know, like, well, I mean,
That's
it's like funny
programmed.
how, well, it's funny how like everybody is like, it's such a part of their life that like, you know, it's such a part of people's lives that like they need to eat the minute that they wake up. And it's like the alternative of just like, it's a normal alternative too of just like, oh, I'm going to fast like in the morning or I'm going to do fasted cardio or something and go for a walk first. It's like it seems like the hardest task, but it's interesting to see.
And it's not. And people will ask us that all the time. Can we work out on the detox? Can I work out when I'm fasting? And you can. Yeah. If anything, you have more energy.
Exactly.
And, you know, I think a real mind, like opening, a real eye-opener here, we own a food store, and we're telling you to eat less. Like, it works. Like, that's the thing. We're not sitting here, you know, saying, like, eat more, eat more. It's basically when you eat less, you're going to lose weight. And it's really, these are techniques on how to do it and really reach your goal. Exactly. So whether you're doing the detox, whether you're doing the fasting, the whole idea always comes down to you're eating less. What will help you do that?
Yeah. Even when I was trying to like put on more muscle and stuff in the beginning, like I remember I would tell you or Dad and you guys would look at me and be like, you're surrounded by food all day. Why don't you just eat? And I'm like, it's not really on your mind when you have so many other things going on and when you keep yourself busy. So like that's one of the key things is like, you know, don't center your whole day around what you're intaking. You know, almost give yourself busy work just to, you know, keep your mind on like other things. Exactly. You know?
And that's the thing with the fasting. I think it really helps because when you know, okay, I'm going to eat only in these 5 hours. So, you know, just say 2 to 7 or 3 to 8, you know, or even 4 to 9, whatever. You're eating your 2 meals and snack in that time. Okay. I mean, how often you do that really, and you don't even realize it, you know? But the other 19 hours.
It seems harder when you put a timestamp
when you
on
put
it, though.
Yes, exactly. But if you look at your week, you do that all the time.
I do that, yeah.
Because you'll generally call me at 6 and be like, okay, I'm sitting down to have a meal before I go to the gym, and it's your first meal. Yeah. So think about this, like, so you have your 2 meals and snacks in those 5 hours. It could be spread out in those 5 hours. Even if you do 6 hours, doesn't matter. My point is you do those same hours because that's giving you that 18, 19 hours until you eat again. And that's where your body is taking from the stored fat. And that's what creates the weight loss. And that's what creates it even faster.
Interesting.
So when you do it even with the detox, which I have a lot of people doing, it's even creating more of a weight loss because you're pushing it all down and you don't feel as hungry because you're eating in such a less time. You know, when you have a whole day to do a meal, a muffin, and a drink, it feels like a lot. Like it feels like you're not eating a lot. But when you shrink that time down, and even if I said to you, do 2 meals and a snack or 3 meals and a snack, if you're trying to do that in 6 hours, it's a lot harder. It's actually harder to fit the food in.
Yeah, and then by the time it's over, you're probably thinking to yourself, like, I don't want to eat anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the time goes
you
by
get
because
so
you go to
full
sleep
so much
and then
faster.
You wake up and then, wow. Yeah,
and it really does. It really helps with fat loss more than anything. Because, like I said, it's really taking from your stored fat. And I think that's
absolutely.
Really important.
Yeah, I mean, I just until we talked about it, obviously, I didn't realize I was actually doing it. But like when we were talking about it last week, I was doing a lot of reading and like research on it, and it's a very interesting topic, like about how it works and how it engages everything. But you were telling me like, you know, about like a lot of myths and stuff about it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's so many myths because people think like you had said before, like, oh, you know, I can I work out on it? Can I, you know, and it's like, if anything, you do actually have more energy when you're eating less, you know. I think that's really coming into play these days, that people are realizing they don't need to eat as much as they once believed. Like there's no such thing as breakfast, lunch, dinner. You know, everyone has different hours. Everyone does different things.
Yeah.
But we were programmed to believe that, you know.
Yeah.
Dessert comes after dinner.
Yeah.
You know.
And then even like when people are like, you know, avid gym goers, like there's a huge debate on whether or not fasted cardio actually does something or not.
And it definitely works.
It definitely works.
It definitely works. You're going to lose more weight if you do fasted cardio.
Yeah,
it's a matter if you can.
It's almost like, why would you even like, you know, intake that many calories like before you go do cardio? It seems kind of like counterproductive. Yeah, in the sense of like you're trying to burn fat, but you're just loaded up on all these,
you're actually taking it in before. Yeah,
exactly.
And people think, well,
it
I
seems
need
like
the
the
energy.
only right way to do cardio is fasted.
I 100% agree.
You know.
But
it's funny because like people, you know, like when you go to the gym like later at night, you know, like if like after a full day and you've had some food and stuff, like obviously it's still fasted cardio depending on when was the last time you had your last meal, but it seems like the only way that cardio is like effective is fasted.
Right. It's definitely more effective, you know, because think about it. If you take in a meal before you work out, before you say you go for a run or you go work out, your body has to burn off those carbs. It has to do everything before it's going to hit your fat.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. When you don't do that and it's fasted, it's immediately hitting the fat. And that's the whole key to the weight loss. You want to get the fat, you know?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. And then, yeah, I think it's interesting too, like when I was reading about it, it's like the more that I was reading about it, the more I realized like it's not really like a trend or a fad, you know? Because it's one of those things that's like has so much, like you said, like scientific research to back it up. It's not really like even like fair to consider it like a fad or a trend.
No,
because I
and
feel
it's
like
been
there's
around
so many,
forever.
There's so many people that implement it to their lives like that aren't gym goers, that are just like, you know, all different age groups, all different types, all different walks of life. Like, you know, somebody that's just trying to keep up on their health, somebody like you who's like an avid runner but also very mindful. And then some people who don't even realize that they're doing it, like me.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And it's like,
and there are all different ways to do it. You know, some people will do where they'll eat 3 days and not eat anything for 24 hours.
Yeah,
That's
and then I saw
kind of
someone came in the store like 2 weeks ago, and they were telling me that they were doing a 10-day liquid fast. So they were just doing drinking, like water.
The only reason why I don't agree with those is because as soon as you put food in your body, you're gaining the weight back.
Yeah.
You know, that's the only reason why. That's great, I think, if you're doing, and 10 days is excessive, but I think that's great to do if, like, you're saying, like, oh, I'm getting married and or I'm going on whatever, you know. But again, I would do the detox before that, because at least you're having, the whole reason why our detox works so well is because you're having food with it. So your body's already used to eating. So when you go off the detox and you go to anything, like if you go off the detox, sometimes I'll put people on a fast, or sometimes I'll just give them like 2 meals and snacks, have it throughout the day, depending on who it is. It could be 3 meals and a snack. But my point is, you're already used to eating the food. So body's not going to gain weight immediately. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I found out about this other thing. It was, have you ever heard of, I don't know how to pronounce it.
What?
I don't know. It's a autoimmune, I think it's pronounced, if I botch this, I'm sorry. It's autophagy, I think.
I don't know.
So it's basically
Either you're saying it wrong, I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Maybe you might be right.
So
what is it?
Basically, it's like one of the best results that can come from fasting. So like longevity wise. So I looked it up. I was doing a lot of research about this when I got in a rabbit hole. But basically, it's your body's way of cleaning out damaged cells and regenerating new ones because of fasting. So it's like a way for it to basically, like, it's a deeper way of like it cleansing itself out, like as a result of the fast. So like it reduces risks of like chronic conditions like heart diseases, as you know, like type 2 diabetes, even neurodegenerative diseases, but also like the auto, it's your body's way of cleaning out damaged cells, regenerating new ones as a result of your body actually taking a break from intaking anything. So it's almost like sending your car into the mechanic instead of driving it, it's like.
And that makes so much sense because how can your body repair itself when it's constantly processing food?
Yeah,
when
exactly.
you're eating all day long, it's constantly processing, so it can't take the time to actually repair.
Yeah, because people don't realize too, like your organs do a lot more than just digesting food.
Yeah,
like
right.
even the ones like your stomach, even the ones like your your intestines, like
your liver, everything.
Exactly, everything that you think is just centered around digestion, it does way more than it actually, than you actually are aware of it doing. And even like this term, did I get it right?
I think so.
I think so.
I think there's different ways of saying it.
I just never seen it before. So then I was reading about it and I was like, wow, this is really cool. It's even like when we were talking about the weightlifting the other time, like when I said, your body can't grow if you keep going to the gym. Like you have to take a day off. So in the sense of like
you're repairing it.
You're repairing it because your body can't really do anything if you keep, shoving food in there.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't
other
really
than
do
gain weight.
Exactly. Yeah. But
it's very true.
Yeah.
I love that mindset because I used to say that all the time. Like, we forget that our bodies need that rest too,
Yeah.
And I know, like I said before, like people do a 24-hour fast. You have to do what works for you when it comes to the fasting because some people can do like, an 8 hours. Some people can do a 10. I think the key is no matter where you start, if you try it, is to try to get those same hours every day for like a Monday through Friday because that's really going to give you that consistent 12, 14, 18 hours of fasting.
Smart.
You know?
Yeah. And then aside from just like the weight loss that you tell obviously the clients, like you believe too that like fasting is also very good for like anything other than weight loss too.
Health.
Like even if just overall health,
mind fog, everything.
Discipline, motivation, like keeping yourself in check, I thought it was really interesting too because it's funny how people don't really like when it's under the umbrella of weight loss, it's scary. But then people don't realize how many different areas of life it's actually involved in, like, religion, like Christianity, Judaism. Like, you don't even realize, like, during the holidays, you're doing a fast, like, and everybody's fasting. So then it makes it easier because you're not the one that's left out. So it's like, mentally, it's like a lot easier because you're suffering with your whole family. But, like, then on top of it, it's like, it builds the mental toughness. Like you're not constantly giving into your impulses. You begin to separate the need to eat from the urge to eat. It becomes rather than like a want than a need,
Exactly.
And then it changes your relationship with time, food, because it actually teaches you how to manage your life.
100%. And I think the biggest thing that you just said is like, it's like doing it only on the holiday. Yeah. Because the more consistent you do anything, the more that you get used to it. And I think that, again, a lot of people just are not educated in, they think like, I still have people who think like, oh, no, I need a carb with dinner. Like I need a potato. Yeah. Right. And I'm like, you don't, though. You really don't.
No.
Don't. But this is how they grew up and this is what they just know.
Well, now you're getting into a whole different area of, like every time we have an episode, we always touch on it. Like, how coddled the world is, and how the struggle is kind of taken out of the equation, so people don't really understand, like, the real,
especially
how to struggle.
I mean, everything's when it comes to food, everything is supersized here.
Of course, yeah, of course. But it's also like what you were just saying, like, everybody like makes up these rules for themselves about like, oh, this is like what I do. Like, I need to have chocolate after a meal. I need to have chocolate. Like, I have to. It's just like it's my thing. Like, and I'm like, you don't though, like you really don't. You want it. It's just.
And we've said that,
and that's
like,
part of the habit.
They don't even. No one really knows what starving is,
of
and
course.
No one I know.
And that's what you always say. That's what I meant. Like, we always touch on that topic of like, everybody doesn't realize how actually comfortable this is, and even when it seems like the hardest thing in your life is following a detox plan, you need to realize like
it's not hard.
It's not hard at all.
It's only because you were eating so much before.
Exactly. And then, which even takes me, I hope this isn't too far off the grid, but like when I was researching fasting and everything, I was actually thinking like, aside from the weight loss and everything, like fasting isn't just a fad. It's not just a trend. It's like before people were a thing, before Stop and Shop was a thing, talking like, not that long ago, like, my grandparents, like, before them, like Stop and Shop wasn't a thing, Uncle Giuseppe's wasn't a thing, fasting sometimes wasn't really a choice, and people just kind of went with how they were and they did what they needed to do.
And
so
what
it's almost necessity. So, everybody, like you said, everything's supersized, but on top of that, like sometimes these were even more than a 5-hour fast. They were a 10-hour fast and they were a day-long fast, and it's not really, so it's kind of just like my point to say the next time you think about a 5-hour fast being difficult, just kind of put it in like, I always say like zoom out and think about the grand scheme of everything.
Put it in perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%. That's true.
So
I love that because, it is true. And I do think, like I said before, it's like, so to give you a great example, like when someone comes in and I put them on a program, of course they're eating less because they're trying to lose weight, and they were eating too much before they came in. And that's why they gained. So they ate too much, they gained weight, they come in, I put them on less, which is still a lot of food, but it's just less than what they were eating. So they'll look at me after a week and be like, I only lost 2 pounds. I was starving. And I'm like, you weren't starving. You were hungry because you were so used to eating more, but you weren't supposed to be eating that much to begin with.
Exactly.
So you put yourself in that position.
Yeah.
You've stretched your stomach. You've stretched your appetite. Now we're shrinking it so you feel starving, but you're not.
Yep.
And I could even take more food away from you, and you still wouldn't be starving. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but that's just, we get ourselves into these positions.
Yep.
Because, and we know it. Most people do know why they gained weight. Some people really just don't realize how much they eat in a day. And because I'll say to them, okay, I'm going to start you with 3 meals and a snack. And they're like, I do that anyway. And I'm like, no, you don't. No, you really don't. You eat so much more than that. You just don't count it. You don't count the bite. You don't count the piece of this. You don't count the,
Yep. It's so funny.
And then as soon as they do it, they're like, I was hungry this week. I was like, well, that shows you weren't eating like that before,
Yeah.
So I think funny. Like when we talk about this, as I'm talking, I'm thinking like, I think the idea of fasting or the idea of detox just scares people.
As soon as you bring up the word, it's like automatic.
But as soon as they do it after a week, I always have them saying, can I do the detox again? How long can I do this for? Because they realize what they're capable of. Yeah. And what they didn't need to be eating.
Yeah. And then even like when people are doing the detox, and like we said the last time, like, like the coffee's a big thing. So like everybody's like, I need my coffee. And I'm like, okay, there's a difference between, your coffee and then the grande latte with extra foam and creamer. Right. Like if you can do your coffee in the morning, the black coffee we always say is fine. A little splash of oat milk, a little splash of almond milk. But like, are we talking about a coffee like that, or are we talking about like your Dunkin' creamer, everything?
Like, well, someone came in yesterday.
And it was funny because like every time I always tell people like, no, you can't have the creamer, you can't have that. And their faces drop because they're like, oh my God, my life's over. And I'm like, it's 5 days of your entire life.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You're not eating as much
and
food as you usually do.
Results.
You're not eating as much food as you usually do. So, like you don't have to have the same coffee that you usually do. And like, it'll speak for itself when it's over. And, but
so true.
It's funny because like you take away the food, but when you take away the coffee, it's like you're taking away everything.
I know.
Yeah, so.
And coffee's gotten crazy lately.
Oh
like,
my God.
The stuff that goes in it, it's insane.
It's crazy.
Someone came in yesterday, as I was going to say before, and she says, okay, so in my coffee I put a protein drink and I put collagen. And there was something else, and I'm like, that sounds terrible. Yeah. I mean, I don't drink coffee, but if I did, it sounds like a lot in a coffee.
I mean, listen, like collagen is fine, but not like, it's not supposed to be like your, like to replace your oat milk.
Right.
Like,
but even just like the protein drink in
like,
it.
That's a lot.
It sounded like mud, but I don't know. I guess you liked it.
Yeah, I hope,
But it wasn't working, so I had to take it away.
I don't doubt it. I mean, the coffee and the protein drinks kind of crazy.
I think the bottom line is that if you which is the title of this podcast, like today, the show, yes, the fasting works, the detox works.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to lose weight, you're probably eating too much right now, and
Yep.
they really help bring the discipline. They help bring the weight loss. They help burn the fat,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they help shrink your stomach. I think they do so many great things that
Yep.
it's just a matter of like putting your mindset in there. You really have to go into it saying, "I want to do this. I'm going to do this. I can do this."
Yep. And absolutely, like what you said, like, and what we touched on before, like, you know, fasting isn't a trend. It isn't a fad. It's not something that you should be scared of or something that you should be worrisome going into. Like, we all need to remember that fasting is, it had phases of its own life. It's, just like anything that's like a fitness, like, health and wellness trend, like the keto diet we talked about the one time, that started not even related to fitness or weight loss. Fasting, it started out as, like a survival thing. It evolved into a spirituality thing with religion.
And health, yep.
And now it serves as a tool for self-mastery. And, it's not just about skipping meals. Like, it's not, if you're ever describing to a friend, like, oh, I'm fasting right now. You can say, like, I'm not skipping out on meals. I'm reconnecting with, my system, and I'm doing a better job of keeping in track what I put in my body. Like, that's all it is.
I love that.
And, it's helping. And on top of it, like we always say, there's also, additional benefits to everything that you do. Like, you're not just like, the goal isn't just, oh, my number went down.
Right.
Like, there's always, additional benefits that go on top
There's
of it.
so many.
You're sharpening your mind. You're, gaining
It's
the
good for your
discipline.
heart.
It's good for your heart. It's good for your
organs,
long-term, everything. So
true.
always remember, like, the weight going down, that's a good thing. But
I think that's the initial motivation.
of course, yeah.
And then you realize, like, how much better you feel overall.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, I hope this helps. I think the topic mostly to focus on is that they do work. They're just hard. They're harder than probably what you're doing right now. But if you do it, you may love it. It may become a way of life. I know the detox has become a way of life for so many people.
Oh, yeah. And just remember, too, if, everybody would be skinny if it wasn't hard. So
yeah, very true. I'm not even going to go into the Ozempic, so we're going to end it here.
We'll lay off them this week.
So thanks for listening to our show.
And please remember to stop in at Innovation Weight Loss, 8025 Jericho Turnpike, Woodbury, New York, or visit our website, innovationhealthymarket.com, or call 516-802-5055. We're open 7 days a week and are always there to help you with your shopping, orders, weight loss needs. When you come in, ask for me, Jake. I will be happy to show you around the store. Or if you're looking for a one-on-one plan, I can make your first free consultation appointment with Josephine. And also, if you guys have any ideas or topics that you want us to talk about, you can always DM us on our Instagram or let us know in store.
Yep.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.